Good evening, everyone. Today we will be continue looking at the uh, button strategy. We're going to look at the small blind today and how we interact with that range. Over the last few weeks, we have looked at the button versus the cutoff. As you can see here, the cutoff was we're raising the cutoff with our offsuit tens, our suited sevens, kings, and then a smattering of range to attack the bottom of his range here, his offsuit range. And as it went around the horn, right, we were able to value bet these hands, value three bet these hands. But we started having to protect our range more, where now ace jack is out. We start to flat queens a little bit more. Instead of the 8, 9, 10, it moves it up to 9, 10, jack. Instead of the 7, 8, 9, it moves it up to, or sorry, 7, 6, 5, it moves it up to 9, 8, 7 for the suited kings, a few more suited aces, blocking the top of his value range by holding an ace or a king, and attacking the bottom of his range with these cards here, the 8s and the 7s and the 6s and the 5s. Continued around the horn, looking at it, protecting its range with ace king, attacking with these offsuit aces, attacking centering around king 9. As the ranges get tighter and tighter, you have to start flattening more and more strong hands. Ace queens flatting pure, ace 10 flatting pure, queens, jacks flatting, ace king flatting, three betting based around our king 9 suited and our best suited aces as bluffs, offsuit aces as bluffs, and now protecting our checking range with ace king primarily, pocket queens, pocket jacks pretty pure, all of these flatting, and our bluffs coming from the very bottom of our range. So today, we're going to look at something that's a little bit different. The button versus the small blind. So because the button acts first, the small blind responds by either three betting or calling. So instead of looking at the button range to start with, we're going to start from the small blind, and we're going to look at it when the button raises. So the small blind has a strategy that is up against the wide range of the button. Now remember, the button is suited fives and offsuit eights. So there's lots of room to target here for cards. And we have some of these cards here. We have some suited connectors down the pair axis. We have a few more offsuit hands here that we're raising on the button. So there's a lot of cards to target. The small blind also doesn't want to play a multi-way pot very often. And the big blind is highly incentivized to get in the pot with a lot of hands that are going to play well in position against the small blind. Now they're going to be out of position to the big blind, but the advantage is the price he's getting to get in the pot on called pots is very good. So the small blind, and when we play the small blind, we should be highly incentivized to get after it with every combination of offsuit hands that we have. Now, some of them are mixing pretty well, but none of them are pure flatting. All the best value is three betting, and it has a high jam component. It's best aces and king queen off, and king jack, queen jack, king 10, queen 10, and jack 10, 10 9, pocket nines, eights, and sevens. All of these are jams here, and these are all very value heavy jams. Then it has some jams that are bluffs with ace 5, ace 7, and fours and threes. So we're going to face a tough strategy today because we are going to get three bet a lot. So put on your seatbelt. It is going to be three bet pot day. When the small blind does call, he wants to have suited aces, suited kings, suited queens, and then suited connectors. Hands that play well multi-way and want to say, hey, big blind, come on in this pot. Let's see what we can do with a suited connector or a hand that makes a flush very, very well. The downside for the small blind here is he's always going to struggle with his kicker placement. So his ace nine is always going to be in trouble against ace 10, ace jack, ace queen, ace king. And there's going to be a lot of that from the button and from the big blind. So in multi-way pots, he's going to have to fold a lot of top pairs here, right? But he's looking to make value with flushes that go multi-way three-way player hands and straights that go multi-way three-way player hands. So we are the button, and we face this 3-bet small blind. We are going to call a lot, and it's going to be along the offsuit 10s and the suited 7s, right? So if we think of this block of hands comprising most of what we're going to defend, we're going to have our best value attack back. Ace king, ace queen, ace king, ace queen, queens, queens, jacks, and jacks. Some bluffs with the wheel aces. And this little outlier with ace 5 here, right? Offsuit. So pretty spicy 4-bet bluff there. Gonna be hard to win with that hand, but you got to have some 4-bet bluffs in there. So that's what it's going to be. Remember, the small blind is going to be pretty wide in his 3-betting range. When he 3-bets all in against us, we just get to call very linearly with our pairs and our best aces and kings. So without further ado, we'll move to some solver work and see how much trouble we can get ourselves in. All right. King, queen. Is it up? And we face a call. All right, 9, deuce, deuce.
I think we have more 9s, but if we bet, but then I noticed it likes to check or bet big, but then it's a paired board, so I like betting smaller checking. 1.3.
Live likes to micro bet. This is our best king high, so I think I would be inclined to check it. I think I'd be more inclined to bet king jack, king 10, king 9, any king that interacts more with the straight. Right? King queen needs 2 gutters to come, the jack and the 10, and has a bit of showdown. But it is choosing to bet big with this to generate some fold equity. The paired deuce, the deuce is not really represented in the small blind's range in a way that's greater than ours. He's going to have ace deuce, and we're going to have ace deuce. And that's going to be most of the deuces that are out there. So we just get to take our advantage of all the pairs that we have versus all the pairs that he doesn't 3-bet. He has a pretty heavy 3-betting strategy with his pairs. So we are betting 75% of range, and it's a pretty healthy mix between small and medium bets. And part of it is
My sister just said that GTO Wizard is ugly.
GTO Wizard is ugly.
Yeah, she's like, is that
How dare
poker?
she.
It looks ugly. I'm like,
She
"This
hadn't
is
seen
fake."
some of the other programs out there then.
Yeah, poker can be a little tough, but yeah. How does she like that there? So kind of break down the strategy a little bit here. You know, we can see the The overpair is what we're really looking for here, right? You can see the overpair really driving the bets here, right? It's a big part of our range, and it's not very big part of their range here. So, we want to bet a lot, but checking is also okay. Ace comes. Probably our best king, doesn't bluff very much. Or bets micro. Wants to bet. Give it a little poke. And we get check raised. Always the downside to betting your hand. Solver's probably going to want to call here. I am probably going to want to fold.
Yeah.
Yeah. Solver says call. It is your best king. Don't get bluffed out easily. All right. We have marginal made hand, right? We have queens and twos with an ace kicker. So any queen is the exact same. We lose to any ace. We lose to any deuce. We could get value from a 9 here, maybe.
I think you just check calling here to a small bet.
Yeah.
No,
Well,
after he bat out, right?
yeah, he checks the river. So you can check or bet here. It's still pretty thin either way. He's just gonna have a lot of
It
aces
is.
and
Actually absurd to see that the solver would bet here. Like, I guess you are targeting maybe a 9, maybe his brick flush draws, but under pairs maybe. I don't think he's check raising with an under pair though on the turn.
not very often, not with deuce deuce down, right? Like he's gonna do it with deuce deuce when the pot when it's 9-4-4. Right? You're gonna see it with deuce deuce 3-3 sometimes, but yeah, he just found the straight draw or the flush draw, right? And the flush draw bricks and he just gives up. All right, raise it up. King 8-6. Now here we go. This looks like a fun board with a fun hand. Do we want to check that? And if so, small or big?
That is small.
Okay,
Going a
Zane
little
wants to
bigger.
bet. Dooley wants to go a little bigger. King board. I think it's going to want to bet a lot. It's going to want to bet 70% of hands. Is it going to bet this one? I think it's going to be a low frequency bet, a high frequency check. We'll take a peek. Yeah, low frequency bet, high frequency check.
Now, Peter,
Alright.
is that because the small blind flats a lot of suited kings?
The small blind has kings, but his kings have bad kickers. Well, look at this board. King with a bad kicker. That is exactly what the doctor ordered. This is two pair territory,
Yeah,
right? Or he has a king with a 3 straight, a king with a 3 flush. We can take a look here. And yeah, our range wants to bet a lot. Thought it was going to bet about 75%. That's small a ton. It has a little bit of size up. When you hold a 7 in your hand, it wants to size up. When you have like a straight draw or a 9 in your hand, it wants to size up. And then it wants to size up its best kings, king, queen, ace, king, aces, king, jack, king, 10, right? King, 8, 2 pair. Then high frequency of this weird 74 gut shot. Bottom of range wants to use the big sizing as well. So, yeah, all right. So we take the line where we do bet, which is still well represented, 20%. And he calls. We get this turn. We improve our equity, now giving us a gut shot to end ace high on a rainbow turn. Does
so I
this
think
one?
I think we polarize a lot here. I think we bet big. You see, I would go 9.
So 9. So polarized means that you have big bets and you have checks. So if you think that, how often is it betting 9? How often is it checking?
I don't know. I have no idea what the frequency would be.
No problem. Yeah, I think it's going to be a low frequency big bet and a high frequency check. I think it's going to want to check a lot with ace high here. But let's take a peek. Yeah, it checks a lot with. Yeah,
Just
ace
with that
high,
middling board, you're still in his range, right? He's still got essentially the nut range to yours.
Yeah, when we bet the flop and he calls, he has a lot of weak kings here still. So when we do bet, we have to go big, but it doesn't want to go big with ace high. We can take a look at this turn.
So one of those aces just wants to get the showdown.
Yeah, this I think is going to bet a lot when you have a 7 or a 9 in your hand that is unpaired. So yeah, if we take a look, the blue size is pretty prevalent. So you got a great job on picking the size, but the combos, the ace jack, the ace queen, the ace 10. So ace queen's a gut shot, ace jack's a gut shot, ace queen's a gut shot, ace jack's a gut shot. These ones just for the most part want to check. There is some big betting when you do bet. But again, you're primarily betting your 9s. You're primarily betting your 7s as bluffs and as value hands. Right, so like king 7, king 9. You could even see king 9 finds a bit of an overbet. As well as here, you have a lot of 9s that want to bet and a lot of 7s that want to bet. Lots of bluffs at the bottom of your range here that still contain an overcard to the 10 on board. So the jack or the queen, right? Because they can still hit second pair. So these hands want to bluff. 10-6 for 2 pair, 9-5 for your gutter with your blocker for the straight on the bottom end. So yeah, and checking 50% and polarized betting a lot. It does bet in the range.
I find it a bit interesting that our nutted 9-7 doesn't want to go big. It wants to keep the guy in the hand. Bet half.
It's a factor of the board being a rainbow. If there was a flush draw, it would probably size up because it's more vulnerable. But here on a rainbow board, a straight just wants people to find ways to put money in the pot. They want people to make 2 pair on the river. They want people drawing to a chop when they have a 7 or a 9 in their hand. Right? They want to keep people in. Got to keep the fish on the line sometimes. So, check. And when we check, he stuffs the turkey 3x pot. What are you calling with here if you're not calling with ace jack?
I think we call with the majority of our kings, obviously.
Okay.
I mean, blockers are going to play important. So I guess we want to block the straight. So having a 9 or 7 would be important, correct?
Okay.
So king 9, I think would be maybe a pure call. King 7's a pure call.
Okay.
Pocket 7s, pocket 9s.
Yeah, maybe pocket 7, pocket 9's a good call.
Will sound very good. Let's take a look at the strategy here. When he has that huge shove and we are stuck here on the river trying to figure out what to defend, it just defends all its kings. King 9, king 7. Pocket sevens and pocket nines, not. It chooses pocket eights is full houses. So what pairs does it call? It calls kings. Does it call tens? It calls tens, but single paired tens are mostly just break even calls or losing calls. So it really just wants to call the kings here. Any king and two pair or better, as what it wants to call off. Yeah. Does not call with 10-9 very much. Calls more with 10-7.
What's the EV for Jack 2 suited over there?
Jack 2 suited.
It's a plus
Point-
EV call.
Yep. This is a strange one. Why is this a call? Oh,
You're blocking this.
Blocking the
You're-
10, blocking the.
you're blocking. So one thing that a solver likes to do is when a solver rivers a set, it likes to turn that into a bluff. Right? So if he had pocket twos here, he would do this strategy. So you block a component of his range here with pocket twos.
Interesting.
It's slightly good. So, yeah. Essentially, you had a great answer. Just defend your kings here,
Kings and two pair.
and look at him with that gross bluff. Ace 9 gets us off ace jack. In game, I'd be very inclined to mark that guy as a bit of a spaz player, but all right. King queen offsuit facing a 3-bet. All
I think
or
you unhappily defend. You unhappily
Oh, yeah.
call.
All of the most of the offsuit Broadway are defending on the button. It's not an unhappy here. It's unhappy in a lot of the other ones when you're out of position.
okay, are we defending by going all in or are we defending by call?
I think it's just a call.
I'm stuffing.
I hate stuffing. All right, let's take a look. You are not wrong to do either from position here, right? This hand specifically is still going to play pretty well against the wide 3-bet range of the small blind. So
Suited, I think I call. I think.
all, and we get this flop. Can it get better for us?
Hmm. If you're asking that because you're leaning more towards a bet big size? Because of how dynamic the board is?
It's a 3-bet pot and he checked. I am itching to bet, and if he stuffs, I think I'm gonna have to go all in here.
I mean. His checking range is fairly protected, I think, but
Oh yeah. But I mean, we got 3 to the flush, 3 to the straight, top pair. I mean, what more could we ask for?
I mean, this is a great board for us. I think we just bet huge. And just call if he shoves.
Let's take a look. 4.8, 9.6, 4.8.
Damn.
Yeah. And still has a fairly reasonable amount of checks, which I mean, I am just not checking. If he's got the fishing line out, I'm biting that minnow. He calls and donks turn. Top card pairs. I want to get value before the board changes. I want to click it.
I'd like to call here because SPR is what is 0.75.
Yeah, you gotta jam it in here.
Jam it in.
Your SPR is less than 1, so solver likes jamming less than 1.
Solver does like jamming, but I think this hand is the strongest hand we have, right? I mean, I guess we have queen 10, but yeah, I would be very much choosing this size here. Take a peek, see. Yep, jamming is just fine. Trying to keep the fish on
Looks
the
like
line
it
is also
won.
fine. Yep, and calling is also okay.
Yeah, you can't go wrong no matter what you choose there with the EV. It's the same.
Why is it a bet small on the flop?
So we'll take a peek at that.
Alright, wait, why is it not a bet big on the flop? Is my question. Like, isn't the board very likely to change into a board that doesn't favor us?
I think it's your SPR because if you bet big, then you have nothing. You have no showdown value, right?
Yeah, so his checking range, remember, he's still checking pocket aces here. He's still checking pocket queens here. His ace queen off that he checks a little bit. Right? He has some pretty dangerous combos that he's still checking that are protecting his range.
It's a
So
function of the fact that it's a 3-bet pot.
Yep.
Okay, so but this is considered a very dynamic board. Like I don't have a I'm just trying to like
Yep.
figure out whether or not I have the right understanding of a dynamic board in general. Because I see a board like this and I'm like, okay, well, it's likely there's a lot of cards that could, have the straight out there, the open-ended straight, the flush draw, pair the board. And those are boards that you want to bet big on because you want to be protected. So is that correct? Other than the fact that it's a 3-bet pot?
yeah, so in this 3-bet pot, like he has a 12% just open ripping on the flop here, right? And it's comprised of his worst queens, his best queens. He's also ripping ace king here, both suited and offsuit. He's ripping queen jack here, and he's ripping king jack open ended. So, right, he has a big component of his range that's really big. And then he's got a bunch of his range that's going to bet medium for value, right? And a smattering of bluffs, right? Because it's still a 3-bet pot. He still has the nut and range advantage against us here. But we have a lot of the flush draw components, right? Remember, he's 3-betting this part very heavily. We are calling this part very heavily. So we have all these spade combos that have, slightly weaker kickers. So he wants to front load the value with his offsuit hands here, right? And so when we look at the hand like ace 10, right, he's using the bigger size when he blocks the value coming in with the 10 of spades, right? And he uses the smaller size when he doesn't have the spade here, right? The ace of spades is a little more resilient, right? Because it's just going to be able to cooler our smaller spades that kind of continue along. Right, when we look at a hand like king jack, right, here's another king jack one, right? When it has the king of spades, it's a little more resilient. When it has the jack of spades, it just wants to jam it in, right? And it has jams with all the ones that don't contain spades and don't block value here too.
Makes sense.
Yeah, so a very spicy spot. So his strategy, this is a weird turn lead from him after we c-bet, but he is leading very prominently in his strategy.
Oh, you have the button range checked.
Oh, sorry. Back one here. Yeah, again, still leading very prominently in his strategy.
You're heavily don't board.
Yeah. He's leading queens. He's leading any ace with a small spade. Right? He has some flush draws and some just ace high that he's betting. But I guess against his small donk, like, there was a lot of us who were like, okay, let's just call here. I guess maybe he gets a good price for some of his draws and stuff. But yeah, we had all kinds of good strategy here. And he calls off with just seems great.
Nice hand.
Yeah.
I like this one.
Right. B10. Raise it up. 8-4-3. All right. Who is this board good for?
I think this benefits from our range a little bit more, right? His range
Yeah,
is
we
a
have
little bit
range
more condensed.
advantage.
Yeah, for sure. He's three betting. He's jamming 3s and 4s and 8s at frequency. So he doesn't have the sets here. He's not going to have 84 or 83 as to pair here. So we definitely have the nut advantage here. So I think it's going to bet small and bet a lot.
It's
It
gonna be
does
big
size up.
to still wants to fold out the high ace highs, right?
And that's part of its strategy. Yeah, it is primarily using the medium size and some small size and some big size. About half pot checks. So we are checking a lot when we have a 3 or a 4. We are betting a lot of 5s, 6s. We bet all our 8s. Very few 8s that we check, other than our mediumest 8s. These ones have straight interaction, so they get to bet a little more. These ones are just best for value, so they bet. It is checking a bunch of kings and not checking queens. Right? If you find queen jack off and check with it, that's fine. But queen 10 is just too far down the line. It wants to bet and bet a lot. Ooh, got a gift on the turn. Call. He's gonna have some mates. The queen is not great for him.
I think we just
I
bet.
think
We bet the same, I think, again.
3 or 6.
I think we get a little bit geometric here. I think we probably go 6 or 9, maybe 6, probably 6.
Take a peek, see 6 and 9.
Yeah,
Great
'cause
job
we wanna get-
identifying the flop.
At 40 bigs, we want to get, when we got him hand, we want to get the money in the middle, right? Like gives us a river pot size bet, right? At the
Yeah, this is a very strong value hand for us here, having turned top pair with a fairly strong kicker. He's already continued, so he's gonna have to call with a lot of 8s. Uh-oh. He checks. Are we checking or are we chucking?
Well, I think you got a chuck.
Yeah, one for the chuck,
Check.
one for the check. Let's chuck it and see. No.
Hmm.
So what does he call our
What do you
big
check?
turn
Do you
bet
check
with?
jamming or what?
Oh no, remember we're in position.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
the small
No,
blind. So his strategy, take a look. How many 8s is he checking? So that's our strategy. And so what
should
we
be
have
checking
10.
much of any's.
We are we're jamming queen 7. We don't want to have a 10 in our hand or a jack. For some weird reason. Likes queen 7, it doesn't like these queens. Which are, oh, sorry, this is yeah, this is our strategy. Strange, it's checking these queens. They're very high EV. That is very strange.
Are you looking at
Well,
button strat or small blind strat?
No, we're looking at us, his strategy.
Well, it looks like without the over card, then you're just checking back, right? You're jamming the rest with the overs.
So he has some 8s that he checks here. Queen 8, of course, the full house, 10-8, 9-8. That's Jack 8 and King 8. 87 he checks. So he's about half and half by betting an 8 or checking an 8. And he is also checking almost all his queens.
Yeah, and he's trapping with the boat.
Hey, Peter, can you show us, since you're in the solver, can you show us what we call if he jams?
If he just rips river
Yeah,
and he rips river, our strategy is to call with any 8s and pretty much all of our queens.
Yeah.
Right?
yeah.
Because he's ripping some queens, it doesn't like to have a queen with a low kicker. So it picks the queens with above an
Over
8.
card, yeah.
So queen with a kicker that's going to play. Because remember, he flatted pre-flop, so his range, he doesn't have these kickers very often. So these kickers are just going to be good a lot.
Queen 4 and queen 3, what it's calling?
It's 2 pair.
No, it sounded
Two pair that got counterfeit.
It blocks his full house
Good
combos,
point.
right? It blocks him having pocket 3s and pocket 4s.
Ah,
It finds some low frequency shenanigans with queen 3 and queen 4, but that's
it's a 0.
that's a pretty minutia elements of calling. And I mean, if you make this call and the guy asks you why you called with queen 4 and you explain to him that it was a blocker to him having full houses, so you had to call with the queen 4, he's gonna have some new respect for you.
He is gonna say get out of here.
Yeah, he's gonna look for a new table to play. All right.
The EVs were pretty close right along the hole.
All right, ace 10 is up. Get a flat. Queen, jack, 5, rainbow. Flop a gutter. All right. So
Continuating small here, 2.2, I think. Not looking to get too much to fold, right?
wonder if it's gonna size up a little bit.
Sometimes 1.3.
Yeah, it
The
sizes
ace,
up a
the
little bit.
ace gives you the showdown value though, right? So
It is primarily not checking, it's primarily betting. And it's mixing well through the 2.2 and the 3.65 size. So, yeah, you are fine here. And we just get a fold from ace 8. That's great.
oh, they say it is a shove of 40.
Ace 8. Let's take
One of them
look
is a
at-
pure shove.
not suited, offsuit probably is.
Yeah,
Ace
it
nine,
was
ace
offsuit.
9 maybe.
It was offsuit ace 8. I thought that was a. I know ace queen off
No,
is like
not quite.
basically full frequency jam, but
One. Ace 8 is a full frequency, almost a full frequency 3-bet. 3-betting.
that's what I was thinking. Okay.
Yeah, so his range is going to be shoving these aces, king, queen, and the suited 10s, as well as some pairs here. Right, 4s and 3s for bluffs, 6s, 7s, and 8s. And I think poker coaching had ace 5 and ace 7 as low frequency 3-bets.
Yeah,
3-bet
ace 5 is always in there.
And then this one as well here. So, yep. Queen 5, and we get 3 bets. Nasty. Is Queen 5 gonna make it in the calling range here?
I don't think so. I think we fold here.
I think we fold, but does king five make it?
Oh, King 5, I think is gonna make it for sure. Queen 5,
Be at bottom of your
I
range,
think
I would
this is
think.
really cuspy.
I think this is cuspy. I think it's gonna be a 70% fold, 30% call.
Yeah, it'll be a if it's 0 EV call if nothing else.
0% call.
Yeah.
Trying to fish me in. Defending a 3-bet with Queen 5. What type of guy is
I feel like queen eight might be the floor, but I don't know.
this?
You need to see what I mean.
Technique?
Maybe I'm just a
Uh,
noob.
No, I don't think that's too nitty at all. Hey, look
No.
at that. Queen
Queen
8.
yeah.
Like a solver. Welcome to the club. Well, yeah. So, yeah, I mean, if I was reasonable, I would have said earlier, right? Like we were looking at the ranges and it was 10s and 7s, right? For defending 3-bets. So we're mixing our 10s, we're mixing our 7s. So that's where the defense line is. So if you're finding
Does
Queen
like
8
king
with
five.
equal frequency, yeah. Yeah, loves that King 5. Nothing like flopping top pair, terrible kicker, and getting stacked.
Yep.
All right. Raise it up. One, King 5-4. Flush draw, disconnected, king high board. Probably going to bet a lot. Is Queen Jack the hand we are not going to bet?
Well, what's the point of? I think we should just bet it. Bet it big. I want to bet because we block some of his king continues, and there's no point in checking. Like, what are we hoping for if we check?
Well, I mean,
A 10 and a 9.
Queen high can be good here. We can still roll off a queen or a jack.
Boring.
Yeah.
Boring is what
Okay.
it calls for.
I guess.
Solver doesn't like
I-
queen jack
I
at
guess it
all.
doesn't like this board actually.
It
like,
doesn't
they
like
have
queen
better-
jack at all.
They have better kings than us.
Yeah, Queen Jack is our best queen. It wouldn't surprise me if it starts
I guess
betting
it's a
like
single raised pot, and so they have a lot more density of king when they call it small one.
I think queen 10 is betting a little more.
it's gonna start betting
Queen-
more. Yeah, here's the metric.
Are
Queen
you
Oh,
Jack
it's
saying
literally
I was wrong?
linear.
Queen 10
That's
bets
pretty
more,
interesting.
Queen 9 bets more, Queen 8 bets more, and Queen 7 bets the most.
Is that
And it
just
goes-
because you get more better queens to fold the worse your kicker is?
That's right.
Uh,
It just wants it's weird with the king out there. It just wants to show down Queen Jack.
Oh, I
Right, and
guess
it-
those other ones can turn, the 7 and the 6 can turn turn open-ended, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, these ones
That's
can
an
all
important
turn
heuristic, and
straight
then
draws.
Queen 5 is a pair and Queen 4 is a pair but it checks, and Queen 5 is a pair but it bets.
Yeah.
So it's better. And then
On the offsuit side, it just checks Queen Jack and hopes Queen, and it bets Queen 7, hoping that every other queen folds.
Yeah, I mean even your queens are checking back there.
So we check the flop, and we get this turn. Probably still a check.
Yeah.
Not really much changed. Well, for us at least.
see, the problem is every time I check and I want to bet again when they check twice, and I learned that I was doing that wrong.
Yeah, because they're
So-
gonna be I think they're gonna be checking a lot of their low kings, right? That don't
And
have-
now we're gonna bet. No, we don't have any blockers, but we
No.
don't have any showdown value there.
They would just check it down and lose.
Don't block. Like, there's no
Oh.
straight here, like 7. We don't have a
There's
straight
nothing to
blocker, we don't
bluff
have a
there
flush
other.
blocker.
You would have bet the flush, right? So
So is this going to be a nice big polarized bet, or is it going to check? I mean, we're floating some king 10. or
I'm
some queen
betting.
10. How big, Viv?
I don't know, 5.
Only 5? Alright,
No, why we're not polarized here.
perfect.
Hey, I got one right.
Way to find this. We
We,
get here
we
with
don't
queen high.
we don't check and lose, and he's checked 3 times. Get the heck out of here.
Yeah. So you're just trying to get ace high to fold here.
Exactly. Sometimes they'll still call, but it's okay.
Yeah.
It's better than checking and losing. Oh my god, that's what tilts me when I check and like
Check.
this hand is very low on our showdown value.
Yep.
I understand why we
Blinds,
checked the
bluff.
flop because I didn't realize, like, I guess our button range just has so many bluffs that queen jack is actually not even close to the bottom, which is interesting. I like it.
And when we bet that size, he starts folding some aces. He folds queen jack, right? He folds a 5 sometimes, folds a 4 sometimes. Right, so we get some better stuff to fold, and when he jams on us, well, it's a very easy fold for us. Yeah, this is a hand that doesn't mind betting and doesn't mind folding if it gets raised.
Yay.
But he finds a sick call, blocking the straight with his 6.
Dang, I think he's sees our hand.
Yeah, that guy might have been peeking around the corner. All right, king 7. Well, this has got to be bottom of range. But we look like a super genius. All right. How do we keep the fish on the line?
So
Oh,
what
they
are
have a
our
lot of
ranges?
10x
yeah,
in
you
their
just buy
range
it.
when
You're
they
just betting
call.
small,
So I definitely want to bet. Yeah, I like this.
small or 2.2. So it'll be a small bet, but
I know it goes bigger sometimes.
if you had an ace or king on there, I think it goes it goes bigger.
Bigger.
Yeah, I think in single raise spots, they have a lot more auto folds. So the imposition bets small a lot frequently. And then when I was studying small blind versus button, if they like betting bigger. So
If
2.2
if
is
it came
absurd.
if it came ace 7-7 or a king 7-7, I think you can bet
Just
bigger,
call
right?
this.
Oh, happy days. We got check raised. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think
like-
we ever is.
I think this is like a 98% call. Very
A
rare.
little bit raised, but yeah.
Little clicky.
100%.
Yeah, just call.
91%, 8% here. Very rare, well represented. I am always tempted to do this.
I mean, I guess if you want to have credible bluffs, but I think the SPR in this situation, we don't need a 3-bet to get all the money in.
No.
I kind of want to stuff.
Yeah,
Almost
you
an
just,
SPR of one.
I mean, yeah, jamming actually makes sense. We have enough bluffs to jam, so
Ooh,
get the
well,
money in.
So I guess the argument for jamming would be, we want to get value from his draws that can't fold. He does have some draws here.
Eight,
yeah, this is interesting.
8,
I would prefer to, I think this hand is so strong. I think we prefer to keep his bluff in. I think we'd still call.
Yeah, I don't know. I think if we had a hand like 7-8 or 7-9, I would be more inclined to call here. I think king 7 wants to get ahead before it faces a bad river. Like the 8 of hearts comes on the river, right? Or the queen of hearts comes on the river.
I guess the only question would be is what he
Yeah, that makes sense.
what's his aggression there? Like it's a pretty dry board for him to have any aggression there, right?
Yeah, so the only thing we're
And
really
isn't he
afraid
check
of,
raising like 8-9 and stuff?
yeah, is 8-9. Right?
8-9,
Like when he
his
check raises
sets.
8-9 and this. Yeah, I mean against the set, we're just gonna lose the money. Based on the river, I mean,
Yeah, you just put it in and
Not
make him
do it.
fold or call.
and we turned. What did he turn? Oh, he turned a straight draw. Yeah, queen.
I like it. Oh, he gave up on it. He
Yeah.
gave
Oh
up?
no, he had hit a double belly. He turned the queen or the 8 or the
Yeah.
straight.
That's a nice check raise by him.
Yeah, so he check
I
raises
noticed
the
that
flop.
the top bottom likes to check raise a lot in big blind pots sometimes, but I think in small blind pots it does it even more. You have an undercard to the 9 and an overcard to the 10.
Yeah. It just in game, you don't really see
And you
those
have
check
those
raises.
backdoors.
Yeah. And a guy, he turns equity, so he double barrels and then gives up on the river. And I guess because the ace is the river, his king high has functional showdown, so he checks. Okay. Oh, is this a raise or is this a fold?
So
This is a very,
fold,
I think
ace
we
This
three
would be a
should raise
fold.
this, but
Open.
I think we
It'll be
raise all
low.
our
It'll
be
offsuit
low.
aces.
Low
Open.
EV.
Oh yeah.
If you think you're gonna get 3-bet, this is a fold, but
Well, I mean, this guy is very aggressive, is he? Like 30% raise. Yeah, snap
yeah.
raise.
So there you go. You fold. Just wasted.
Oh,
Yeah,
look
in
at him
ICM
three
spots,
bet
that
us.
hand will fold a lot.
Yeah.
Well, even if you have a heavy 3-bet in the blinds, you'll have to fold those ones a lot too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Raise it
Because you're
up.
just wasting 2 chips if they're gonna check raise you a lot, especially both small blind and big blind are aggressive 3-betters.
I think this makes a good jam, but it can call too. But I think it's gonna be. It's good. Let's do my out the ass guess. Okay, I'm gonna
It's
say
9s or
70% jam
is it
and
8s or 9s in the
30%
button?
call.
Yeah, close your eyes and jam.
I think this might be too good to jam.
Yeah, I think you're looking at 8s or 7s to jam here and calling the 9s.
Might be 6s, 7s, and 8s.
Yeah, well, it'll be all your
I'm shit.
Yeah, it is a show. I know there was that weird.
Let's take a peek.
I think you're right about
100%.
the pattern though. Like there will be like a couple of middling pairs that just call, and then
Yeah.
I guess it just doesn't play well as a call.
Oh, it's jamming everything.
Yeah, it's
yeah,
6s,
but
7s,
it's
and 8s.
sevens and eights.
Yeah, I
Sevens and
think,
eights jam less than sixes. Like that to me is a little weird, but
GTO
Well, I
Wizard
guess it has to
diverges
do
pretty
with the.
strongly from poker coaching charts in this particular
It
situation.
might also be the sizing choices used, and maybe other settings of the sim.
Yeah, like maybe it's big blind versus button. There's you call the 9s and jams like those middle
very different.
6s and 7s, yeah. Can't remember.
This is a very different strategy.
Oh yeah, there it is. 8s, yeah. I knew there was something I seen.
It is primarily flatting the middle pairs here. And GTO Wizard is primarily
Jamming everything.
I
in.
think
Flatting
it depends on
some.
what sizing choices they use. in
Yeah,
the
'cause
poker
isn't-
coaching.
Isn't poker coaching 40, isn't it 2.5 still? Not 2.3.
Yeah, 2. Yeah, 40 should be 2.5. 2.4.
Yeah, it's 2.5. I just looked.
So a little bit
definitely
lower
more
than you could
aggressive
jam,
strategy.
all right.
It's full frequency here. Yeah, this one's pretty well represented.
Yeah.
And then here it's the queen jack and the jack bubble
What's the EV there?
of these guys.
No, I was just
1,
looking at the 9s and the 8s and 10s and stuff. They're all
Yeah, they're all fine.
significant.
And the flat and the jam are both the same, 1.99.
Yeah.
So you can play them either way, and like you're not making a mistake here.
No.
And if you look at the call versus jam here, like this is also not a mistake, right? If you find a flat here with these hands.
Yeah.
So,
On the other page, what's the EV difference though? That should be pretty close to the same, I would think.
yeah,
On
it
your
doesn't show
original. No, on your
doesn't show
original.
the
Not
EVs.
there, but on your tabs on G2 Wizard. Not there on the other one. If you go back to your original to the
What are you looking for, Arnold?
if you go back to the trainer,
For
yes, yeah, so you're essentially pretty much even. It just prefers the. So either one, you're fine, right?
You're in trouble either way. All right. Check 10. Check yours. Ooh. This is a nice hand. Do we want to get check raised? We don't want to really get check raised here.
No, I think you're checking here.
Isn't there an argument for protection? I mean, there's a lot of cards here.
Betting big.
Yeah, we don't fear the queen as much.
No. It's just a
Right.
high frequency check raising board, right? With the flush and the straight there.
Yeah, I
Or-
think it's gonna be. I think it's gonna bet too. I think it's gonna mix pretty heavily here. I don't think
Yeah.
it's gonna.
I
Wrong
think
shot.
You're not going crazy.
Yeah. Primarily mixing heavily with betting small or checking here. Yeah, this is just a very dangerous spot. Like
Such a middling board. It hits both your ranges, right? So
it really hits his flatting range. Right? For his offsuit, queen 8 and king 9. So continue. He comes out with a half pot.
I get a call.
Okay. Do we want to raise for value or call?
I like a click back here.
I think if you had a spade, you could raise,
That's
but
reasonable.
I think you're just calling here with the. You can't
Without
get any more
the-
equity, right?
Without the spade, we keep his bluffs in.
Yeah, I like a click back here against population because
still in out of position on river, but I don't know if that holds for solver.
It does have a little bit more than a click back, right? When it does go, it goes 2.5x. Let's see. And 5, we have a pretty clearly marginal made hand.
Yeah, I think you just call here. Showdown.
Here at all. And we kept them in, and we did get 2 streets of value with king high. So that's good for us. So we probably got the most money we could by checking that flop. Because like if we bet the flop, well, yeah, like here's the problem. If we bet the flop, he's gonna check raise. The 5 doesn't really change very much. Maybe he checks and it goes check, 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 check.
I think he barrels still because he's got a double gutter there, right?
Or maybe. Way, jack 10 off. It's 3 bets, gets out.
Yeah, it's fooled.
And this one, not gonna fold. It's probably gonna play pretty easily. Oh, until we find this.
this is our strongest ace, so I think the check.
So deuce is kind of a brick. He just doesn't have a lot of deuces.
Yeah, he's
That's
got
mates.
queens and eights.
I think it's gonna be primarily check. Wouldn't surprise me if
Yeah,
it
it's
does do a
small
little bit of
betting.
value betting. Nope, just a pure check with the top of range. Best unpaired hand. And he comes up with a huge bet.
I don't. So I think with
Ooh.
withdrawals available here, I think we still call with a. That's such a big bet. I don't know. I don't know what the solver wants to do.
Do we want to have or not want to have the spades?
I think we want to unblock his straws, so I think it's good that we don't have a spade in this particular situation.
Solver's gonna be pushing a lot of small cards there too, so it's a tricky one.
What do we do on the flop?
Flop went check, check.
Oh, then we had a call.
Yeah.
Yeah, we definitely can't fold.
Fold.
Hand is just way too
We
strong.
can do whatever the hell we want to do.
Yeah. Well, I think we have to call one, and if he's aggressive on the river, I think
Yeah,
we
we
just
definitely have to
fold.
call this.
We don't get odds.
I mean, I think it should be calling.
I
But
think
then if
we-
we're checking a lot of this other stuff, we're checking a lot on this board.
think we have enough eights that we check and like pairs with a spade, like pocket fives, pocket nines. I think there's gonna be enough of those type of checks that I don't know that we have to defend this one.
I vote we call this. And
I
then
don't
we
know. He's
fold.
going to be betting a lot of. He's going to be raising big on a lot of his wheel cards, wheel
Yep.
draws, right?
It is clearly a solver call for 0 chips.
So it's a pure mix, which means that's why you're so confused. You can tell which ones are kind of mixes when you have a steady group and we're all confused.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We'll
so
take a look at that one quickly before we decide what we do on this king river.
What's he? Yeah, what's he raising big there? I'm going to say it's the wheel draws, right?
So his strategy here
that's a good point.
is, yep, ace 3 is doing it, ace 5 is doing it, king 5 is doing it. His sets, pocket 4s, pocket 5s, his 6-5, so his gut shot 3 is doing it.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a double belly. It's got the 7. Yeah, 6-5 and 7-6 are both doing it because of the straight interaction with the 8 and the 4.
Yeah.
And then 6-5 because it's the double belly. So all of these things that have straight interaction are using this size. And then
And this top
bunch of
pair, small
queens.
kickers. These, yeah.
and throws Jack 10 in there for a bluff, Jack 9 in there for a bluff, 10-9 in there for a bluff.
I wonder why his pro on this. Is polarizing in size.
Yeah.
Out of
he-
position, you want to bet all your value, right?
When the flop goes check, check, he just bets all his best queens. And he bets them massive.
And all his gut shots and wheel draws, so and sets for
So when we get here on the river and we get the king, he checks. So I think if we saw his range, he has a bunch of missed draws that have ace high here
Yeah.
that want to check. And he has a bunch of queens. Makes me want to do this.
Yeah, I think we bet
Like,
big. I think we bet 20 or shove it, one of the two. Well, 20 is ridiculous because I think our only size with this SPR is to shove.
it is a shove. Get here, we land our best value that we could possibly get, and he has Jack high. All right. Raise it up. Get 3 bets. Ace queen off.
This is an all you can eat situation. Take him to the buffet.
yeah, you gotta go shove this one, I think.
Yep. It
You'd
is
call
a
your-
clear shove.
And you'd call your ace and you're suited, right? You'd call your suited.
I think
He-
he shove his queen as well. So ace queen suited as well.
It is
Oh,
shoving.
okay. It's ace jack
both
we're
of them?
calling. Okay.
Yeah.
Kings and
It's
queens.
the suited jack down, suited offsuit 10 now. Right, ace queen and ace king are just gonna fare well enough here.
Yeah.
And we just run into the chart. All right, raise it up. It's got to be close to bottom of range. Ooh. Jack 10 2. 2 cards and a brick.
With the ace high, I think you're just checking, getting the showdown here, aren't we? And we'd be betting the kings.
Well, is this our worst ace, right? Like ace 3, ace 4, and ace 5 all have potential straight interaction. So those ones I'm gonna check. If I'm gonna find a bet, it's gonna be with this one. But you can take a check and see. Nope, it is checking. Am I getting out of line betting ace six here? Nope, it wants these ones because they have backdoor value
Yeah,
and it just
betting
chooses
your
not.
value and then
Chooses the wheel aces that have backdoor equity to try and bluff out the bigger aces. It doesn't choose ace six.
because when you, I find when it has interaction with their range and you have ace high, you just want to get the showdown really.
Okay, well. King, we do check some kings.
Man, I need a shirt that says checking is boring.
Yeah, well,
Nice.
Oh,
Oh, look at
nice.
yeah.
We rivered the
Runner.
So sizing is interesting here.
comes
I
out
think-
with a half point bet. So how big do you have to bet to keep the fish on the line? What size can you bet and make them call with a 9?
I don't think we click back. I think if we do anything, we 4x it.
I don't know if this is an overbet or not. Yeah, I'd be close to that one, I guess.
12?
12 or 9, I think you're just trying to get value, right?
If you do stuff the turkey, it's not unreasonable because I mean you have the nuts. Yeah. Primarily choosing the 9
Yeah,
size.
the
trying
EV,
to get
it's
called
in-
by a 9.
It's indifferent. VV's exactly the same, so.
Yeah.
Even calling is.
Oh, of course.
Chop it up.
Well, this one too easy. Up. Oh no, wait.
No, we're calling kings, ace and kings, shoving queens.
Gotta keep the fish on the line. He bets a quarter pot, 3-bet pots.
We're check raising here, yeah. Aren't we?
I like calling here. It's such a good hand that I want to keep him in.
We have the king of spades. I'm definitely gonna call.
Yeah, you can't turn any more equity unless you get a king. So if an ace rolls off or, oh, it is just calling. Oh,
it is just calling. Okay. Give him the chance to polarize the turn.
just stuff it in now.
One-liner board. And queens. Okay. That's just gonna play out how that plays out. No one's avoiding the death. 8. Some bottom range stuff. Ooh, what a board. Straight draw, backdoor flush draw, king high.
Yeah, I think you're betting small here, just but continuation betting.
Okay.
Oh,
It
a little bit
finds-
bigger.
Healthy chunk of big bets here on this.
Oh, your EV right across. You're indifferent there.
He calls. Do we double barrel this turn? Did not pick up equity.
So that's a pretty brickish river.
Yeah, I
don't
think we
think
still keep barreling.
I don't think it's equity shifting. I think we polarize to a larger size, like a 9.
Then it's also gonna check too if it also has some 9.
Yeah. Mhm.
Perfect. And no checking. It is buckle up your pants and let's go.
Well, I want to fold something out right now, so.
Well, the flush got there. We block the flush. We have king high.
It's gonna want to shove here, I think.
Yeah.
Ooh.
It
No, no
check.
shoving.
gives up.
Yeah,
But
was
you've got all the
action again?
bluffs though. It was bet, bet.
Okay, so why doesn't it bet king high here? So where are we? We're the offsuits. So it bluffs when it has the king of spades. It checks the king eight all the time. It
Shoving all the rest of the kings with a spade
Yeah.
of any kind.
yeah,
The heuristic
it-
here
Any
is if
spade.
you're blocking their flush, you're shoving. If you're not blocking their flush, just giving up and hoping king high does the job.
yeah,
But it wants the over to the flush card though, so the king eight and king seven aren't shoving.
picks the jack as the jack and the queen as the ones it goes for and checks down this one. Okay, that's strange, yeah. And I mean, you can see these are reasonable checks, right? They're still earning 2.5 chips. So,
Don't we want him to have the 8 and the 7? So we don't want to have the 8 and the 7 if we're bluffing for the third time on the river. Yeah.
we want him to be calling two streets with a combo draw that has an 8 or a 7 in it. Okay.
Yeah, a lot of times when you usually when you double barrel and double barreling is so magic, you take away a lot of their range and you narrow the range when they call the second barrel.
Yeah, he just has the nuts anyways. Sure.
Yeah, so we avoided him punting.
Rebet. Find some calls here. Okay.
Yeah,
This
all the
Yeah, point
offsuit broadway
zero
would like to
point
do.
0.01 EV.
Yeah,
It's okay
my-
if you overfold
I'm
in
folding
these
this.
spots because I feel that people do not always 3-bet every single time what they need to.
and yeah, I had to auto click the fold here because I am
Yeah.
always making that fold, but on a
No.
risky day, we find a call.
King 10
We
plus
fold.
offsuit likes to call.
That's us with the ace jack. All right. What's up? Now what did we
Call.
see before?
This is a full as king eight, wasn't it? Or king six is on the edge, I guess.
It's a call.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think it was
baby.
queen
Let's
8 was
go.
the edge. King 6, I think it's gonna get in there. Yeah. All right. So he just leads. Do we fold the
We
king
have a
high
backdoor flush.
and a
Oh,
backdoor
the
straight?
backdoor
if a
flush.
4 or a
2
5
overs,
comes?
2 threes.
Yeah, I think this is gonna float.
The backdoor straight draw. I
It
was thinking
does
about
float.
raising too, but I was like, oh, we probably don't have much of a raising range, but it looks like it is a good candidate for raising if we felt like raising here.
Yeah, this is bottom of range, has some straight interaction, has some flush interaction. It can barrel like on a spade, a 4, a 5, right? So it has some hands that can kind of pick it up and go. Checks. And the ace comes. 3-bet pot. Ace is not good.
Yeah, I
It's
guess.
even worse when he checks back.
Yeah. You can find some bets here, but I just kind of given up already too. We called one. Oh, gross. Just sick.
Well, this becomes an MDF question with a tiny
Yep.
blocker sizing. It's not really blocker sizing, but it's a small bet. So, I think we might call, because of the size of the bet, we might call a little bit. I think it's a mix, call fold.
I think you'd need an 8 to call here. I don't know what's calling the 6.
So
I can't
we don't-
remember what the
It's because of the,
We don't have a heart in our hand. This is the best 6. So if it's gonna call a 6, it's gonna be this one. So I think it's probably gonna
guess-
call here.
yeah.
Now. Probably gonna mix some of the sixes here as it goes down the line.
MDF is like 80% there. You know, gotta call a lot with them.
Yeah, it calls king six, it folds queen six. So we picked the combo that it likes to call with. Yeah, it just folds queen six when it gets there with queen six. So 'cause queen six has hearts. A6 is two pair, A6 is two pair. 7-6, it calls. No, 6-5.
What's he
call.
checking back there on the?
What's his check strategy when the ace turns? When the ace turns, he is checking a few suited aces.
Two pairs, sets.
He traps with ace king. Isn't that gross? And pocket
He
aces.
traps. He traps with a ton here. He traps with sets. There's essentially
Yep.
traps with everything.
Yeah, that's a pretty dangerous check turn card there. So yeah, our six is
Pretty
in
vulnerable. It's a
deep
weird
water.
call.
And he just has jacks. All right, let's do one or two more. Raise it up. 3-bet, get out. Oh, the stinker. Get what we deserve for raising with that hand. 3-bet bluffed. All right, this one. We have our best value. 6-5.
I think it's just small and
Bet,
frequent.
yeah, we're just betting here.
Is anyone sizing up?
Well, it's sized up the whole time before. It's either 3.
3, 6,
See, I would
5?
size down here, but I
Yeah,
think
you could, you
solver
get
likes to go
value.
3.5.
One of
I'm
those
so
two.
torn.
I think it'll be pretty even. Yeah. It's
I
pretty
was
close.
wrong. It finds only small bets here. Yeah, I'm finding sizing up too often with ace queen here. Is there any sizing up on this board?
Well, you have nothing but value, so there's nothing. The 6-5 doesn't really small interaction with his range, right?
Yeah, I guess we just have like we still have 6-5 here,
Yeah.
right? And we have all the combos around here, ace 6, ace 5, so it just doesn't find very many big bets. It chooses ace jack and not ace queen. So it's big bets. Oh, but happy days, we get check raised.
I think our hand is so good that we just call.
I'm not afraid of no ghosts. He checks. Okay, well, he just never has ace king here, so I'm just gonna pick up the bet again. It chooses the slightly bigger size. It does check here half the time though, as sick as that is. I guess you have the spade, so it checks. And he stuffs it in our face. We've been check raised twice in a hand. Is that ever good?
No,
Not
I
where
hate
I'm
this
from.
game.
No, but we're a
It
fish. So
doesn't
we gotta
fold
call.
and the guy has fives.
Yeah, it's 5.
I'm
He has
never
pocket
calling
six.
there.
Oh,
That's
60.
6-5. I'm never calling there in game.
I am because I am a fish.
It's bad enough that population doesn't check raise enough anyway. So when they do, they usually have something.
What did I find that in there? Gross.
What? You don't like 5-3?
5-3 is out.
Boring. Fold. Yeah, I guess
5-3
because we're
out.
40
King
big
6
blinds.
in. Out. Alright, let's find one more.
I like that you're like out.
Out. Jack deuce, who's getting in here? Who's the sick animal who has this?
I mean,
Not for zero E EV.
Alright. Flatted.
well, that's
turf.
why it's usually out. Sometimes in specific circumstances, you should open it, but most of the time fold.
Now, this strikes me as if we're gonna small play any set, it's just when we're blocking the flush. I think we might get a cheeky check here.
But its
Might
range
get
is full of
cheeky.
queens though, so I think you have to bet here.
Yeah,
I think
maybe.
it will bet on this texture and it will check on the dry textures, and we're using a larger size.
So with the flush draw, it wants us to size up. We have one of the flush draws, so it wants it to size down. It's a connected draw heavy board, so that wants us to size up. So we have a couple of elements wanting us to size up and one element wanting us to size down. The strength of our hand wants us to size down.
This is a single raise pot.
Yeah.
Single raise pot.
Yeah,
Yeah. It finds some cheeky checks in here.
It's indifferent, so.
you
Because
can do whatever you
can-
want because you have a set. I think I've simplified my strategy to 3.65 or check.
Always be betting.
Uh-huh.
I prefer betting and getting the money in.
Yeah, in position, always be betting. That's what I was always told anyways, so.
Not always, but
Here, we turn effectively the nuts.
in fact, actually, the small blind has a lot of checks as we've seen. But when you have this
Becomes
strong
just a
hand,
question of
keep betting.
SPR. and
Yeah, I think you're still betting. If we called one,
I think it's probably close to this 6.05.
Gonna be hard for the flush draw to call this size of a bet.
I think you're still in the same situation. You wanting to bet small, right?
I'm wondering if it's gonna start mixing a lot more checks here, looking for the straight
No,
or the
maybe
flush to come in.
It's something to.
Although you won't
mean, I
get very many
suppose-
bluffs on a double pair on a paired board though either though, right? So
No, but when you get an 8, a
Yeah, yeah.
10, or a spade to roll off, you have the chance to stack a guy when he makes a straight or a flush.
Yeah, that's a very good argument. I vote for check.
Well,
I would bet it's another situation where we have a myriad of choices.
Yeah,
Yep.
it does
it-
mix a lot of. I mean, a lot of times boats prefer to check. You're correct because it's really locked.
Yeah, and this
If
is
you're
a
gonna find some, and there's not that many combos of boats that you have, and then you have to protect your checking range, and then
the
you
one-
can rip it in their face later.
I think the one heuristic we have here is if you have the nuts to do anything you want.
yeah, it's indifferent.
so it bets big because a queen is always gonna call and probably raise, and you're gonna get all the chips in. And it checks because it wants to let him catch up and make
So
a
I was
second
correct
nut
about the 6.05, but yes, you need to be mixing. You need to be put the nuts in every single category. Otherwise, like if someone, especially if you're playing cash games with the same people, then balance is going to be more important than in a tournament.
And now we get the perfect river. The straight completes and the flush completes. We please lose all our chips to queen 7 now.
We're not losing our. If they have queen 7, then I'm gonna call the police.
There we go.
Well, the police would be over to my house quite often then, it seems like.
So yeah, ace 3 of spades. Like if we bet too big on the turn, let's see if he calls with ace 3 of spades. So on the turn, if we take the 605 sizing,
I needed
Because
to
we-
call the police with what happened in the 109 yesterday.
he calls all his ace-high flush draws. He folds his king-high flush draw. Calls his jack-high flush draw, 8-high flush draw. 6x flush draw. He just weirdly folds this king 8 flush draw. Blocking our bluffs, I guess, with an 8. Yeah, he doesn't want to have an 8 here. So yeah, it's still pretty resilient. But when we take the check line, there, check, and he gets to the river with the 6 of spades. His range goes bonkers. So yeah, when we check the turn, he's betting, you know, 2/3 of his range on the river, and we have a full house, right? So like that's the elements of checking that turn card. Right, as he is here with a wide amount of value and a wide amount of bluffs. All his queens are going for it, and they all call off, of course. His straights, his flushes. So we get a lucky river that completes the straight and the flush, and so it just goes bananas. All right, I think that was a great one to wrap up on. We will be back next week, Monday. And next week, we will look at maybe the most important spot in poker. Button versus big blind, and how that one interacts and how that one defends. And we'll probably spend 2 weeks on that, working 1 day from the button and 1 day from the big blind. Because, that's a great spot to study. If anyone has any questions or further comments, by all means, direct message me. And thanks for popping by the study session tonight, guys.
Thank you, Peter. Much appreciate your time, sir.